Welcome back to the Walkoff Mariners podcast. I am Jordy Bott, joined as always with Juan Forno to discuss Seattle Mariners baseball. We are a few games into the season, 16 games in, and so far, how are we feeling? 6-10 record as of this recording. We fans so far, what are we thinking on the season?
There are certain things I like right now, but as a whole, no. I think we're gonna give the team a D minus grade as far as how far the season has gone thus far. Nobody who's supposed to be taking care of things is really doing that. Bryce Miller is probably the top guy. You can make the argument Logan Gilbert is one of the few who is doing what he's expected to do. The bullpen is obviously solid. That's an expectation coming into the season. That's without Santos or Brash yet. It's only going to get better, but as a whole, I don't like the way things are going, and I have a lot of thoughts, but curious as to how you feel about the first, 15 to 20 games that we're at right now.
I am shocked that we are 6-10. I think our record should be worse. We aren't playing like even a 6-10 team right now. The fact that we've got there is beyond me. And the issue is we talked Miller and Gilbert. Yeah, they're pitching well, but it seems like a lot of the other guys are just kind of there. Like it doesn't seem like we're going off on really any cylinders for a while. The bullpen is starting to turn it around, which is nice. And we are getting some decent starts out now. So hopefully this is kind of the beginning of turning it around and getting moving, but the vibes are just not there right now.
Yeah, and I think you made a great point about like how the fuck did we win 6 games at this point? They're not passing the eye test, man. They don't look good. Even today, like I got to actually be at the game today. And a team that you lose 3-2, a team like the Cubs, who is French playoff team, not a bad team. Assad is throwing well, and it felt so much worse than a 3-2 game. It did not feel like they were in it. Even Luis Castillo put up a quality start, but man, everything in play was getting absolutely shit on, dude. Everything.
And we did all right getting base runners, and then just double play. Like it was just
couldn't get him in, man. And it was like, it was a couple. It was Ty France twice, right? And that right now, based off of like how hitting has gone this season, that'd be like the one dude I would want up. So it's the vibes are bad. The vibes are real bad right now. That's why I'm in this moody lighting.
But the one thing, and Mariners famously get off to these slow starts, so that's not anything new. And the one phrase that we have to just we've had to drill into our heads for the last 3 years is it's still early in the season. But one thing that I always know is like there is still some things that you should be panicking about. And I kind of want to do this exercise. So we're each going to come up with one thing that is just not a concern, right? Like, yeah, it's not looking good, but it'll turn around. One thing that we should keep our eyes on could turn into a concern. And then one thing that is a legitimate thing that needs to be addressed, even though it's early, should be addressed. I think we'll each take turns. So let's start with one thing that's just not an issue. It's looking bad right now, but yeah, still early. What would that be for you?
For me, that one's easy. I think that's Julio Rodriguez at the plate. He started slow last year, and he's still a young kid. We got to give him the benefit of the doubt. Rookie of the year, finished top 5 in MVP voting in his sophomore year. He hasn't put it together yet, but right now it's absolutely not a concern for me.
Yeah, no, and I think like the big thing that's concerning people is just his lack of power when he hits the ball. And I think he's kind of got into his own head as well, which we'll get into this later, is probably why they decided to sit him for the Sunday game and then put him on as a pinch runner, which I understand if you tell the guy, hey, no matter what, unless there's an injury, you're not playing today. And so I kind of understand not pinch hitting him in that regard because he's just mentally checked out for the day. But to follow that up and put him in as a pinch runner, that's when it makes absolutely no sense.
Yeah, and for me, like I agree with you. If you say, "Hey, you're off today, no matter what, we're not going to play you," it was a situation where it's like, okay, this is prime time for the face of the franchise to come in, and for me, it's you're just setting yourself up for success. Is if I'm that player, if I know that I'm the face of the franchise and I'm an MVP caliber type player, and you come to me and say, "Hey, I'm pinch hitting you in the ninth," despite the dude that's hitting right now is playing your position and it's hitting 130 and show nothing offensively. What are we doing? That's you're not doing anything to benefit this player. If I'm Scott Service in that situation, I'm saying, hey, he's gonna throw you strikes. Go up there and take 3 fucking daddy hacks. And if you strike out, you strike out. There's no harm. We lose the game. We're probably gonna lose anyways. With Luke Riley hitting, right? You go and hit a bomb. You have a two-run shot, and you walk off, and that's a get right at bat right there, man. Give your guy a chance. He's the face of the fucking franchise. What are we doing?
Maybe he will use it as kind of a wake up call, and he'll be like, "Oh, I've actually gotta earn my hits if I want to be." So there is that, and at the same time, it's just he's not different, but there have been some bad at bats from him, and honestly, most of the team right
The
now.
whole team right now, man. Yeah.
Not really much you can do. For me, well, my one thing that's absolutely not a concern is the power numbers just in the group as a whole. This is a team that, yes, they strike out a ton, but the last couple years they also hit a ton of bombs too, just collectively. And right now, it's just not happening. I was discussing with you for between the games I've missed and times like going to the bathroom and stuff during home runs. The first that Polanco home run today was the first Mariners home run I've seen this season.
It's
It's just
crazy,
not
man.
happening frequently, but it'll come, especially to once it kind of warms up in Seattle. There's going to be a lot more home runs coming from this team.
And I mean, here's hoping, right? If you're going to be a team that strikes out a lot, the power output's got to be there as a trade-off, right? And I know they went into this offseason trying to reduce the strikeouts. We've increased them thus far and not had those power numbers. So it's definitely going to have to get right, man. If this season continues on the way it does right now, Jerry DePoto might be looking for a fucking job. I don't know. Like the amount of hope and the amount of resources that have actually gone into this team, whether it's trades, free agents, and building up the farm system with the arms, something's got to click, man. We've been too close for too many years to this point where we got to either go and figure it out or fucking make a change. Our philosophy going into the offseason was reduce strikeouts. That hasn't happened. And now we don't have the power to combat those strikeouts either. It's a fucking problem, dude.
Yeah, yeah. But once again, I'm not worried. This is another thing that just happens every year. The power doesn't show up, and then all of a sudden it just clicks. So that's my thing. That's not a concern.
We're
Let's
just
move
waiting for
on.
that humidity.
Yeah, you just gotta let the air stop being so moist. Uh, what is something that somewhat concerning, something we should keep our eyes on, but we're not in panic mode yet?
Yeah, I think that would be JP Crawford for me personally. We got some kids coming up that are going to challenge him, and he is a leader of this team, but, defensively and offensively, he hadn't looked that great. Yeah, we're only, 16 games in, so it's not ready to hit the panic button, but definitely worth keeping your eyes on because that's an important spot. He's the shortstop and he's the leadoff hitter, and past Julio, he's kind of the heartbeat of the team outside of the pitching staff. So he's got to do a little bit more for sure, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I agree. And we've seen his defense getting a little bit weaker, it seems, every season. And so I think once we start getting the guys up, because we're maybe a year away from seeing Cole Young, and I think that's when the discussion kind of starts. Is like, is it time to move him or is this his position? So it's definitely going to be interesting to see kind of how they handle that in the next year. If Cole Young comes up immediately as shortstop or they just play short second, then it switch. I don't know. There's a lot to go down. For me, it's kind of along the same line as that, but one thing we should keep our eyes on is just the infield defense as a whole. Ty France is solid there, but you look at right now at second base, Polanco's doing all right. He's another one. He's getting a little up there in age, and then you go over to third base where we've got our platoon. Urias, it just seems like he doesn't have the arm for third base.
Mm-hmm.
Like if that ball's there, it's just he's throwing low or he's one hopping it, which France is pretty good at scooping. But at the end of the day, you shouldn't have to rely on that as much. So you kind of wonder if Josh Rojas is just going to take over there full time, and he's hitting well. So that could be.
Yeah, he's putting together good at bats, and you second question every move. Gino is kind of tearing the ball up a little bit in Arizona, and obviously his defense, we thought he had a chance to win Gold Glove last year. So, you lost that clubhouse guy. So, you're happy with what Rojas has done. Hopefully he can continue and just take that job and then be the future of third base at T-Mobile, yeah. Yeah, tough to say, man.
Yeah. Okay. And then finally, what is one thing that is a legitimate concern that has to be addressed sooner than later? Like we are in like, no, this needs to be fixed right now.
Yeah, I kind of hinted at it a little bit earlier, but it's Scott Service's management of this fucking roster right now, man. I did not like the decisions this dude is making. I did not like how quickly he's pulling starters. And I understand that these starters are getting hurt at a rapid rate, and whether it's the baseball or the pitch clock or the off-season conditioning, whatever the fuck the case is, man. Scott's got to do a better job to put this team in a position to win. He's overused Munoz at this point. And then today was a glaring mistake. If you're gonna give Julio the day off, give him it off, but don't put him in as a pinch runner. That's fucking nuts.
Yeah. No, it's just there's that was
and you
just
had Urias on the bench.
Decision.
You had yours on the bench. So what you're telling me is we're better off with Julio Rodriguez at first base and Luke Riley hitting versus Julio Rodriguez hitting and Urias at first base, right? Cal was coming out of that game regardless of the situation, and Zavala was going to come in. I don't know what the hell there was going in through his head today. I don't know why the bench manager didn't step in and say, hey, let Julio hit. I don't know why Julio, didn't challenge his coach a little bit there. Maybe he did. I don't know the situation. I wasn't in the dugout. But if I'm Julio right there, I'm like, why am I not hitting? I don't want to go steal a base and hope Luke Raley clutches up and drives me in.
Well, and
to tie the game.
They're down by a run, and then let's say Julio scores, inning ends. You have to take Julio out of the game. You lose it.
Done.
You're giving yourself no option to play your best player anymore. It just seemed like a weird move.
Yeah.
If you're gonna say, hey, you're not playing at all, then don't play him at all.
And you have to know, like, there's very little upside to pinch running Julio in that situation. You're going to get second guessed by the media. I know it's a lot harder, and there's a reason these guys are in the position they are, and we're just talking about it afterwards. I get that, but it just doesn't make sense to me. I don't know what the fuck they were thinking, and he's got to get it straight because, like I said, if this season continues on the way it started this first 16 games, Scott's as good as gone, man. His seat is hot right now. They can't keep just missing the playoffs with the roster and the pitching staff that they have.
Yeah, no, my one thing that is a legitimate concern, and it's something that can't really be addressed because it's pretty much over, is just these slow starts.
Mm-hmm.
We've watched this team 3 years now. So 2022, we made the playoffs. 2021, we just missed out on the last day. 23, we just missed out on the last day. All 3 of those years, we got off to a slow start. The only reason we made it is because of some insane stretch that put us in the mix. But you can't rely on that, right? You can't go in with this mentality. It's like, it's slow, but who cares? We're just going to go on a 12-game winning streak. You can't expect.
No, you can't bank on that, man. You can't bank on 22, 23 wins in a month. It's setting yourself up for failure.
Exactly. And I think an issue is maybe they have it in their heads now because a lot of these guys, that's all they know. They're like, yeah, don't worry. We're going to go on a ridiculous stretch where we go God mode in the summer. It's like, if that doesn't happen, we're 10 games out of it all of a sudden. You can't rely on that. You need to win, even though it's early. Yeah, but you still got to win these games so you're not in that super stress mode come September, like what we had last year when it's like comes down to the last series, like, hey, we need to win 6 out of 7 to get to the dance.
And it's not going to be 10 games back in the Central. It's going to be 10 games back of Texas and Houston, championship teams, recently championship teams. So they can't fall behind like they do every year. They got to figure it out now, not in June or July. Just can't do it.
And the other thing is losing 2-3, the Blue Jays 2-3 to the Guardians. Those are teams that you could be fighting a wild card for a wild card spot. So when it comes down to your win-loss record against them, you're putting yourself in a bad position. They could just miss out on the wild card because of the games that they just the 2 series they just lost. So they'll get to play him again, and they really got to step up for those ones.
Well, yeah, especially with all the interleague games that they have in the schedule now. Like there's a home and away. You do a home and away against these teams now in the Central and the East, and that's it. That's all you get. So they're already behind the ball, and now they're going to have to go and show up when they play Cleveland and Toronto in the future. I do have one bonus legitimate concern that should be addressed, not sooner than later. It needs to be addressed fucking now. I have some non-baseball friends, and they know the name of an umpire in Major League Baseball. It's fucking embarrassing. Get rid of it.
Yeah, this is a baseball-wide thing. This is not a Mariners thing.
It's not even fucking baseball-wide. People who don't know baseball know an umpire's name. That's fucking insane. How do you turn an umpire into a goddamn meme? Get rid of him. I don't care what it costs. I don't care if he's going to sue the MLB, your billion-dollar organization. Get him the fuck out of this game, okay? He's ruining the game of baseball. It's a joke. It's an embarrassment. He's got to stop.
Is it bad? So I legitimately have been tracking games that he's the home plate umpire and adjusting my fantasy teams accordingly.
Dude, you have
I will bench a guy if Angel Hernandez is the umpire. And I'm like, he's going to get 2 stupid strikeouts.
It's fucking insane, dude. And he'll blow it on the base pass, too. It's crazy, man. He had that game where the Blue Jays pitcher stepped off, threw a fucking curveball 6 inches above the strike zone, and he rung him up. He got the call wrong twice in one pitch. It's fucked. He's got to go. He's got to go.
It was so funny because they sent him down last year, too. And it was like, all right, this has got to be it. And they're like, nah, he's coming back. It's like, no, you mean to tell me that there is no one in the world that can't replace this guy? We have 0 umpires available. No, it's ridiculous.
No, and it's on Angel because they got the fucking union. So he doesn't want to quit because he doesn't want to admit he's dog shit wrapped in dog shit. He's got too much of a goddamn ego. He's been doing this a long time. Go retire. Go live in Miami, man. Go fall off the face of the earth because nobody in baseball wants to see your face. None of the players respect you. You're a dickhead when you get the call wrong. Just stop, dude.
Since we're doing this, another baseball-wide thing that has to be addressed is these uniforms.
I'm not ready for this on a fucking Sunday, Jordy.
You were supposed to watch the Mariners today in their Sunday creams. We are 16 games into the season, and the major league team doesn't have the jerseys yet. They haven't gotten the jerseys in. How does that happen? How do you drop the ball so bad?
And for me too, like my dad owns a sporting goods and apparel shop. He has the embroidery machines and the silk screen and the heat press or however they're making the jerseys. I assume embroidery. They should be embroidered, but it's fucking Fanatics. So who knows if they're even getting that part right.
They're just drawing them on with Sharpie.
They need 48 jerseys max. You have 2 for the players. You have a couple of alternates for the guys in AAA that might get called up. That takes 24 hours max for a company this size. And then you do express shipping 1 to 2 days. It should take 3 days to get a team of fucking jerseys. And the fact that we're 16 games deep is absolutely insane. They're like the fucking Temu of sports apparel companies right now. They're the fucking Make-A-Wish.com of fucking apparel. Figure it out. Bryce Harper wore an old jersey last night from previous seasons because it's absolute trash. Alvarado of the Phillies wore his old pants. They're not even wearing the fucking uniforms at this point. Yep. They're so bad.
Well, and Miller didn't wear his. Bryce Miller went out pitching in the ball boys pants because his pants wouldn't fit, which imagine making the major leagues, like multi-billion-dollar organization. You're excited. You're like, I am the cream of the crop. I'm the best of the best. And then all of a sudden it's like, yeah, we can't find a uniform that fits you. You're like, what?
And I want to know like how this happened. I think I know, but I don't know for sure. I think, companies were able to submit their proposals to MLB. MLB got to review them, or Manfred got to review the proposals. They're like, oh, fuck, Fanatics is going to give us the best deal and charge us the least amount of money. Oh, fuck, maybe we should invest in some quality. It's a classic case of get what you pay for, and it's a fucking embarrassment. The MLB right now is a mess. Angel Hernandez, Fanatics, the gambling schemes, all this bullshit. It's brutal right now.
This is not how you want to.
No, I say this as a very bitter Mariners fan because things aren't going well, but what the fuck are we doing?
Well, and you've also got all these pitchers' elbows exploding too. This is not how you want to start a season.
Guys, we're losing net worth here. We're fucking losing net worth as a league.
This just off the top of your head, with all of the things that we mentioned, can you recall a more disastrous start to a season than this one? Just everything going on.
Not in the MLB. I think there's a couple examples in the NFL. The color rush was a mess when they did those jerseys for different reasons. There was a Thursday night game that was like, I think the Arizona Cardinals against the Seattle Seahawks, where it was like bright green against bright red, and whoever was colorblind was fucked. I don't know how these billion
Yeah,
dollar
those were the colors that wouldn't register, so you're just watching gray on gray.
doing. And then the NFL had a situation where they had some temp referees to start the season. It was a mess. They fucked up
Oh,
games.
that was a fun one. I forgot about that.
Yeah, so
I
I
remember one of the referees like mentioning one of the guys was on his fantasy team, and they're like, "Yeah, probably don't say that one out loud."
it's crazy. So that's what this start of this MLB season reminds me of: color rush and temp referees in the NFL. Fucking garbage.
Unfortunately, the temp referees are permanent in the MLB. He's as good as the temporaries, but no, he's here to stay apparently.
Oh my God, dude, give me a fucking little league coach over Angel Hernandez. At least he has a fucking excuse.
All right. We'll get a couple of things. I know your battery is on the verge of dying, but we'll try and shed some positive light on the Mariners season so far. So it doesn't seem like this is just a complaint about the Mariners podcast. What has been one pleasant surprise for you to start the season?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna group this one with one thing we want to see as well. I'm going to give all the flowers to Bryce Miller right now. I think it's a pleasant surprise to see how well he's pitching. I know that we had high hopes for him going into the season, but he was our 4 or 5 guy, depending on how you place him and Woo. Thrilled we didn't trade him based off the way things are going. And
he's exceeded those expectations too.
Oh, by far, man. He's got ace potential the way he's throwing the ball right now, which is great to see based off the fact that he's still got Gilbert and Kirby, and hopefully Castillo is more today than what we've seen those first 3 starts. Love to see him keep that going. I think he is doing a fantastic job. Couldn't be more happy for the kid, and I hope that continues on the rest of the season and throughout the rest of his career, as long as he's playing for the Mariners.
Yeah, this could be the breakout season we're seeing, and it's great because we're going to see a lot more of that. What might be a top 10 worst mustache in the league,
or best, in my opinion. That's nice.
They go hand in hand. Great and terrible mustaches are all mustaches are beautiful.
I just need one of these from him. I just need just a gross, greasy.
Well, he's got the same thing I've got. It's the blonde facial hair, so like you need to be in the perfect light to have it visible. My pleasant surprise to start the season, I would say, is Ryan Stanek. When we made the signing, we knew he would be good, and we were like, "Hey, this is a good decision. This is someone who's going to hold it down until we get Brash and Santos back." And now all of a sudden, it's like, hey, is he like trying to take their positions? Because it seems like it. He's been bringing the heat. He's gonna challenge these guys when they get back. So you almost think that their positions as the setup guys aren't perfectly secure, and you love that. You want this kind of competition. So I am extremely happy with the Ryan Stanek signing.
Not only Stanek, but the entire bullpen, man. You look at Spire, who's got a 0 ERA. Saucedo on the left side with Spire. You know, you got 2 solid options on the left side. You got a guy like Trent Thornton throwing the ball well. Stanek coming in. Obviously, Munoz is a horse. And that's without Brash or Santos in the pen, right? So Stanek is absolutely going to push these guys. And if Scott is the manager we hope he is, he's going to keep going with a hot hand. I don't give a fuck if he's going Munoz in the 8th inning. That's fine if you want to get through the heart of the lineup and you're protecting a 3-run lead, and then put Stanek in the 9th. And, you know, I know he gave up that bomb the other night, but it didn't matter. Yeah, Stanek is great. Love to see it, man. Love Rojas. It was a pleasant surprise. And Canzone is doing some good things. Hopefully he's going to heal up quick. He made a hell of a play today in left field, but he did smack the shit out of that wall.
It didn't look good.
Did not look good.
That might be a while.
They're saying AC joint sprain. If that's the case, it's on his catching hand. Luckily, not his throwing hand. So he may be a week or 2 max, in my opinion. But there are positives. There are pleasant.
In your medical opinion?
In my medical opinion, on his throwing hand, he's just got to lift his arm up and catch the fuck ball. He doesn't have to throw anything. So rest up, come back soon, Dom.
And finally, what is a big question you have for the rest of the season? Something that you're really interested in watching for, the one thing that you're like, yeah, I got to tune in. I want to know how this one pans out.
Yeah, I think we were talking about this while I was at the game today, and it's just understanding what's going on with Luis Castillo, right? Because you look at his walks per nine and his Ks per nine versus his batting average and balls in play right now, and it's the stuff is clearly working because he's striking out 11 people per nine right now, or just under. He's under two walks per nine. The stuff looks good. He's getting people out with swing and miss stuff. But when they're making contact, I don't know if he's missing up or what the situation is, but man, they're hitting him hard and something's not adding up. The advanced metrics are very contradictory to what should happen. Those high Ks per nine should result in a lot less hard hit balls, you would think. But I don't know.
Yeah,
That's
yeah, he's got a K9 over 11 right now.
yeah,
He's getting a lot of strikeouts, but he's also got the highest batting average in play against, and he's probably the hardest hit pitcher in the league. I think I looked it up, and he's got like the highest hard hit percentage against as well. So these guys, you're either swinging and missing or you're squaring him up perfectly. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, those things contradict each other, right? So it's tough to say. And it as I was watching today, it's not like he was getting tired early and then giving up hard hits. It was, strikeouts and hard hits throughout all 6 innings he was in.
He was back and forth.
So I just couldn't figure it out. But that's kind of been the case this season for him. So I'm interested to see how that results long term.
Yeah. So for me, I am curious about how Emerson Hancock is going to play out because we've seen two completely different players from him for his 3 starts. He came out, looked good, looked like a solid player, went to Milwaukee and had one of the worst outings we've seen in a long time, and then came back last night and he looked really good. So I'm curious if he keeps this up, like we get to see the good one, because they are eventually going to send him down. And I think when they send him down, that's when they got to make the decision. They're like, do we see this guy as a starter, or do we kind of change it up a little bit on him, get a couple extra miles per hour on that fastball, use him as a middle reliever so he doesn't have to see the order a couple times. I'm curious to see what they do when they send him down, what the final plan with him is.
Yeah, he's a bit of a Jekyll and Hyde guy where, sometimes it's good and sometimes it's real bad. I think as a first round pick and as a potential arm and a potential, mid to top of the rotation guy he's still young. I think he's maybe a little bit rushed to be that 5th starter right now. I don't think we would have gone that route had we still had Marco Gonzalez. But there was a lot of guys who we thought maybe would be on the roster. Robbie Ray's another arm. I know he's not healthy yet, but I think you got to give Hancock the entire season as a starter, regardless of whether that's in Tacoma or in Seattle. Keep rolling him out there and giving him that experience here in Seattle. And when Wu is ready and healthy, put him back in AAA and have him wait in the wings. Manage his load, work on some stuff in AAA. And hopefully by next season, we can look at moving maybe Luis Castillo or another arm and him be ready to take up that position in the rotation. I don't like the idea of shortening his workload, just managing it personally. I think I'm going to keep rambling while you figure out your camera there on Hancock. I still think the kid's got potential. I mean, we've seen it 2 starts now where he looked really good. So you got to let him try and figure it out.
I don't know. I think eventually he's going to be a bullpen guy. It just seems once he gets through the lineup, everything kind of falls apart. So if we can get that extra couple miles an hour, he'll get to start wearing the failed starter shirt and be a good bullpen guy for us. Also, real quick sidebar. Do you know why this is the main reason why I don't think I could be a Major League Baseball pitcher? And it's not because I can't throw. It's because I would giggle every time someone said load management to me.
But also because you can't throw.
No, well, that's the second place.
Yeah, but that's not the number one reason why.
I'd be in the meeting with a manager and he'd be like, load management. I'd start giggling. And he's like, also, you throw like 40 miles an hour. You got to leave, dude. You can't.
Yeah. No, that's fucking hilarious. I think you're absolutely right. I think Hancock is not going to get an opportunity to be a bullpen guy this year. The reason for it is not because necessarily it's not potentially what's in store for his future. I don't think there's fucking room in the bullpen for him right now, just like there's, one spot while Wu is unhealthy in the rotation. I don't know how you squeeze him in the bullpen once Santos and Brash are back.
Well, the other thing is too, is I'm kind of turning my opinion around because as I think more and more about it, I'm like, who do we have after him for a starter pitcher? Like
I don't want to know.
Alice Keuchel, and that's
Then it would be Keuchel. You're right.
so yeah, maybe you probably are right in that sense that they keep him going, and then at the end of the season they're like, all right, we got to make our decision. What are we doing with this guy? And
Yeah.
at least that gives him more of a chance to prove himself too.
Yeah, you reevaluate at the end of the season, and you know what, man? If he pitches like he pitched last night with the amount of young starters like Miller and Wu and himself in that rotation, you could conceivably, skip a start or go to a 6-man rotation if that's not going to fuck up the top three. You have off days once a week usually. There's a lot of ways you can go with it, and it's a good problem to have, but I can't imagine they're going to reduce his workload this season.
Yeah, I don't think they're giving him the Edwin Diaz treatment quite yet.
Not quite yet. We're not there yet. But if he turns out to be an Edwin Diaz, then that's a fucking win, in my opinion. I won't complain.
If you happen upon an Edwin Diaz, I think a win is an understatement.
You stumble, you got to work through as a starter 2-3 years, and then you end up Edwin Diaz. All right, fuck it, we'll take it.
You take that action. All right. Do we got anything else you want to add, or do you want to take us out?
Yeah, one more thing to add. If you do go the Edwin Diaz route, don't get hurt in the fucking WCB, please.
No, world-based WBC. WCB is what you get when you get hurt as Workers' Compensation Board.
Oh, maybe that's the Wendy's Cheddar Bacon Classic I was eating earlier.
That can hurt the heart. That's
yeah. Who hasn't hurt the heart like the Mariners have?
Well, Mariners and a Baconator, that'll definitely make you feel it.
That's cardiac arrest right there.
All right, you want to take us out?
That's all you, brother.
All right. Well, thank you so much for listening. If you want to join in on the conversation, one thing that you're not concerned about, one thing that you want to keep your eyes on, and one thing you think they need to fix immediately, feel free to jump in on the comments and do that. For myself, Jordy Bott, and for Juan Forno, thank you for listening. Enjoy your week. And I blew all of the goodbyes. So goodbye.